British towns are collapsing faster than anyone will admit. Shops are shutting. People are leaving. Property values are falling off a cliff. These are 15 UK towns already dying in 2026. And if you own property in one of them, you need to know right now. Number 15, Peterborough. Peterborough has been described as a city caught mid-transition for a decade. That transition has not arrived. The town centre carries empty retail units that have been empty for years, not months. New housing developments continue to be built at the edges, while the core hollows out, creating the visual impression of growth, while the economic foundation remains unstable. Residents with spending power drive to Cambridge or travel to London rather than spend locally. For property owners, the bifurcation matters. New build commuter housing tends to hold value. Town centre and inner residential properties have not recovered their pre-2020 levels in real terms. Number 14, Blyth. Blyth in Northumberland is a coastal and former industrial town that has never found a convincing economic identity after the collapse of its shipbuilding and mining base. The population is declining in real terms. Younger residents leave for Newcastle and further afield, while older residents stay, compressing both their economic activity and the long-term property demand. The high street has a vacancy rate that reflects a local spending base too small to support the retail infrastructure that was built for a larger working population. An offshore wind industry has established a presence nearby, but the skilled jobs that come with it are largely filled by workers who live elsewhere. Property in Blyth is cheap. It is cheap because the fundamentals that drive property value, employment, population growth, and amenity point consistently in one direction. Number 13, Rochdale. Rochdale features in the Indices of Deprivation 2025 among areas of the Northwest with the highest concentration of neighborhoods in the most deprived decile. Income deprivation, employment deprivation and health deprivation overlap in specific wards in ways that make economic reversal extremely difficult. The town centre has lost anchor retailers without replacing them with the food and experience economy that has kept places like York viable. Greater Manchester's gravitational pull means residents with spending power go to Manchester, which is rational for individuals, but structurally damaging for local retail. Property prices are low. The question is not whether they are low, but whether they have a flaw. Number 12, Grimsby. Grimsby has been declining for longer than most towns on this list, and it shows no credible signs of reversal. The collapse of the fishing industry stripped the town of its economic identity decades ago, and replacement industries have not arrived at the scale or speed required. The Humber Freeport designation has brought occasional announcements of investment, but the employment generated has been insufficient to reverse population loss or revive the high street. Grimsby's vacancy rate for retail units is among the highest in the East Midlands and Yorkshire region. Property is cheap, some of the cheapest in England. And for buyers seeking yield, the rental numbers can look attractive until void periods, maintenance costs on older housing stock, and tenant turnover are factored in. Those buying to hold for capital growth face a market where the underlying population and employment trends work against them. Number 11, Burnley. Burnley is a mill town that lost its mills and it has not found a replacement economy. The Indices of Deprivation 2025 placed multiple Burnley wards in the worst decile nationally for income and employment. The town centre vacancy rate is structural, not cyclical. It will not recover when consumer confidence returns nationally because the local spending base is simply too constrained. Limited private sector employment and a demographic profile that skews older and lower income create a property market where demand is consistently soft. The town has genuine community identity. It also has a property market that reflects the underlying economics with uncomfortable accuracy. Number 9, Middlesbrough. Data places Middlesbrough among towns with very high shop density per resident, far above sustainable levels, meaning the retail vacancy problem is structural, not temporary. The town loses spending to nearby Darlington and out-of-town retail. It is also among the worst nationally for health outcomes and income deprivation. The Teesside Freeport has generated investment announcements, but the timeline from announcement to employment to economic impact is measured in years, not months. Property investors who bought on Freeport optimism have found the market has not rewarded that optimism yet. Number 8, Hull. Hull consistently appears in the worst-performing lists across multiple indicators including retail vacancy, deprivation, health outcomes, and economic growth. The data shows Hull among the towns where the high street model has failed structurally, not temporarily. The city had UK's City of Culture designation in 2017, which generated optimism and investment. The lasting impact on underlying economic indicators is modest. The waterfront has improved, but outer residential areas and the town centre beyond the cultural zone remain challenged. Property is cheap, but the gap between cheap and good value depends entirely on whether employment, in-migration, and amenity improve. Number 7. Hartlepool. Hartlepool is among the most severely deprived towns in England for income and employment. The town lost its industrial base and has not replaced it. The high street vacancy rate reflects a local spending base that cannot sustain existing retail infrastructure. A nuclear power station has provided employment for decades, but it is scheduled for decommissioning. The proposed replacement remains at an early planning stage with no confirmed construction timeline that would generate employment within a typical property investment horizon. Property is extremely cheap, but demand remains the central question. Number 6. Luton. Luton presents a different crisis. It is not cheap. Average house prices are above the national average, yet net migration is strongly negative, making it one of the most actively avoided relocation areas in England. More people leave each year than arrive. The airport provides employment but also concentrates noise, pollution, and congestion. The high street vacancy rates have not improved meaningfully since 2020. Owners paying above-average prices in a town losing population face a mismatch between price and underlying demand. Number 5. Stoke-on-Trent. Spending data shows Stoke is among towns where very little high street spending goes into food and experience economy categories that support modern retail survival. The retail offer has hollowed out. Spending power has not recovered, and spending patterns have not shifted. Town centres across Stoke continue to struggle with long-term vacancies. Property is inexpensive, but yields are constrained by voids, maintenance costs, and a limited professional tenant base. Number 4. Walsall. Independent assessments rank Walsall among the lowest for quality of life among major UK cities. Low incomes, weak job markets, and limited healthcare access compound each other. High street vacancy rates have grown consistently. Property prices are low, but buyer demand is not expanding. For owners, the data presents a consistently negative structural picture. Number 3. Blackpool. Blackpool has one of the highest vacancy rates in the UK. Crime levels are also significantly above average. Seasonal employment creates unstable income patterns that make consistent retail spending difficult. The seafront economy and inland residential economy are effectively separate. While some seafront regeneration has occurred, inland areas have not seen equivalent transformation. Many parts of Blackpool remain in the most deprived national deciles for housing and health. Number 2. Bradford. Bradford has one of the highest shop vacancy rates in the UK and ranks among the lowest in quality of life assessments. Multiple neighbourhoods fall into the most deprived categories for income, employment, and health. Although cultural investment has brought attention, underlying structural issues predate it and remain unresolved. Property is cheap, but outcomes depend heavily on long-term economic trends that are still uncertain. Number 1. Newport. Newport has one of the highest shop vacancy rates in the United Kingdom. Nearly 1 in 5 shops is empty. The town loses significant spending to Cardiff every week, as residents travel for retail and services. The number of shops far exceeds what the local spending base can support. Property is inexpensive, but the structural indicators, vacancy, outmigration of spending, and limited demand, remain under pressure. These 15 towns are not written off. Communities survive, people adapt, and some places will find their footing eventually. But the data available in 2026 from deprivation indices, migration analysis, and retail vacancy surveys points clearly to where structural pressures are highest. Property ownership is a long-term decision. Make it with long-term data, not short-term optimism.